More NASCAR content? For all the latest in NASCAR, including driver interviews, race recaps, fantasy NASCAR, listener call-in shows, and awesome giveaways, tune in to the Lap Traffic Podcast on iTunes, Podbean, or your favorite hosting site with new shows every Tuesday night. Check out Lap Traffic on the web, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, and follow on Twitter @LapTrafficPC. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker. The future is feeling.
This is not the first time, though, that this series has been on the dirt in the history of the Full Send Racing series, as this is Season 4. All the way back in Season 2, they took the trucks to Bristol Dirt. But Trevor, as qualifying's underway, currently right now, it's the 13 of Chris Essery on track. But comparing that of Bristol Dirt to Eldora, completely two different tracks.
Two different tracks. Bristol has a lot more banking than Eldora. You can carry a lot more speed around Bristol. A little bit, I would say, a little bit easier to pass at Bristol than it is at Eldora. Eldora's a lot tighter. I guess in terms of short track racing, if you were to think of Eldora kind of like a Martinsville type of dirt track, a lot tighter, a lot less banking in it. So definitely qualifying is going to be important for these drivers, as I think track position is going to be key for tonight.
And track position right now for these drivers is being set for qualifying, but this is not qualifying for that of the featured event. These drivers are qualifying for their heat race. All the drivers that are going to be in that of the odd number, so 1, 3, 5, and further down. Those drivers expected to be in heat number 1, while those in the even side, 2nd, 4th, 6th, and the same, going down that way, going to be in heat number 2, and that will qualify where the drivers will start in their featured event, as we've got ourselves still 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on time. Seeing a couple of drivers trying to get themselves settled in, as I believe this is going to be that of the 118 on course, as it's going to be that of Jason Ferre, who's going to be trying to settle in, find some speed for this machine, and everyone's going to be searching for the maximum amount of speed. But here, Trevor, been hearing a lot of rumblings on how this track is going to evolve throughout the night.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing, to see how this track evolves. I mean, typically you would think that it'd have the most speed at 0% track usage, meaning the dirt's clean, it's fresh, there's no pronounced groove through it that we'll see later tonight once they get a number of laps on there. But honestly, Sam, the trucks are a lot looser on a clean track surface. Not a lot of grip out there. Usually around that 10 to 15, 20% usage rate, you will see the trucks really pick up some speed and have a lot of grip. And then as the race continues, they'll lose that grip again. You'll see them searching around. But right now, drivers got themselves a handful out there trying to get these qualifying laps down.
As see there, it's going to be Logan Keys trying to get some track and laps put down, running that extreme high line, trying to find the cushion that's kind of not there just yet for this 43 machine. Across the line, going to be starting out their second lap. Is Logan Keys got into the wall the first lap, trying to stay off of it, because if you get any type of contact or spin out, that's going to invalidate your lap time. And it's 43 really throwing it into the entry of turns 3 and 4, staying low, trying to find the bottom lane, drifting back up from the exit of 4 across the line. And that a Logan Keys first lap, again, invalidated. The second one will count, and it's up to 12th place for that of the 43, as we got 30 seconds left here in qualifying. And for these drivers testing out at Eldora, a historic dirt track race that has seen so many great different vehicles, different drivers come out here, and NASCAR themselves taking the trucks to Eldora all the way back in that of 2013, 10 years ago. NASCAR tried to attempt to bring back dirt track racing to that of the top of NASCAR Pinnacle Racing, and they did just that. It's been bringing out a lot of different factors on how drivers can try their best to test their skills on the dirt. Such a different way of driving, not trying to just hold speed on the asphalt, but this time trying to stay sideways and also trying to keep your speed at all times. As drivers get set up, it's time for heat number 1 of the night. We're going to have 2 heats and then our featured event that's going to be 90 laps. But for the heats, there's a lot on the line. There's bonus points to be grabbed, as well as that of setting themselves up here for that of their positionings for the featured event. Trevor, 25 laps, it's going to be a good one. But before we talk more on that, let's get our results on how the drivers are going to be set up here this evening. You see it on our ticker board on the left, taking the top of the board. It's going to be the 13 of Chris Essery. Then Cameron Sarton's going to be in second. Zach Hall going to be in third. Chris Stitt's going to be in fourth. That of Ross Tatum, fifth. Will Bustler's going to take 6th position with Sam Siegel in 7th. 8th goes to that of Jason Ferre. Philip Chavez is going to take 9th. Andrew Medlin, 10th. That of Lyle Christensen in 11th place. Doug Pierce, 12th, with that of Jonathan Casebeer going to be in 13th. And 14th is going to be going to that of Ryan Stenhoff in the 74. Expected 14 drivers to take the course, and Trevor, 25 laps. But I think the key that we also have to watch out for, this could be turned into a timed race, as drivers only have 15 minutes to try to finish out 25 laps.
Yeah, 15 minutes, 25 laps. You know, it should go. You should be able to get those 25 laps in, but the issue is going to be caution, Sam. I think we have standard iRacing cautions on, so we could see a number of cautions out here, but caution laps will count. So at least the drivers have that. The laps will continue to tick away, even if there is a caution. But it's going to be close. If they get a couple of cautions in here, it could turn into a time race and could make this really interesting for these heat races.
And as well, bonus points to be grabbed. Top 5 drivers going to be grabbing bonus points. As first place will get 5 bonus points. Second place will get that of 4, 3, 2, and 1 to that of 5th place. It's taking away what would traditionally be the stage racing. There's not going to be any stage racing in the featured 90-lap race that we're going to have later on. So this is your time to grab your points in the early going. And Trevor, as the drivers getting rolling and about to get themselves set up here tonight, I believe they're going to be taking 2 pace laps before we get ourselves to green flag racing for our first race of the night. The first heat, they're on the cleanest track. Do you see this as an advantage or a disadvantage for themselves?
I would say a little bit of a disadvantage. I think you're going to want that a little bit more beat up race surface. So I think the guys in Heat 2 are definitely going to have a little bit more of an advantage, a little bit more grip out there on the racetrack compared to these guys. I think we'll definitely see Heat 1 drivers slipping and sliding around, and I don't expect a truck to come out of Heat 1, Sam, with a clean quarter panel or fender on it for that matter.
As drivers set up, ready to go. Again, all the drivers that are in here in heat number 1, all the drivers that were qualified, put in their times of finishing in the odd numbers. That Chris Essery was the fastest driver from qualifying at the cleanest track. Now it's time to see the cleanest state they're probably going to see all night long for a race. How well can they hold on for dirt track racing? Chris Essery, Cameron Sarton, green flags in the air, a little bit of a wiggle on the inside lane, but it's going to be side by side going down into turn number 1.
Sarton's going to try to get that outside run, drifts that truck nice and wide there in turn number 2. Essery a little bit pinched there on the bottom, but Sarton's going to get a good drive off. Essery's going to dive it all the way to the bottom. Zach Hall to the inside of Chris Stitz in the 17 machine. Stitz taking that middle line, though. Esri going to go for the slide jump for the lead. Not going to be able to cover off the 24 start as he takes the lead in turn 1.
Be taking the lead on that at turn number 1, feeding the left flat number 1. Now running the outside lane. Going to be seeing Henry Cameron starting trying his best. Not able to completely, that Chris Esri not able to complete his way around as that of Ryan Stenhoff going to stay low, going straight to pit road, into the wall. Going to be seeing that of Chris Stitz, the driver that won at Bristol Dirt, trying to double down on his dirt racing skills as drivers already marching on the outside lane. Some drivers were saying the inside's where you want to be. They're on lap 3, coming to the start of lap 4, already seeing multiple droves of drivers trying different lanes, but it's Cameron Sarn pulling away from the rest of the field.
Sarn's got that clean air driving away as these guys continue to battle behind him for second. It's going to be that of Stitz to the inside of Esri, but Esri gets a really good drive off, clears that battle for second. Zach Hall in the what is 4th position right now, but he's got Will Bustler closing in on him as Zach Hall now looks to the inside of Chris Stitz down into turn number 1. See if the 32 machine can get this move done. Going to stick to the middle as Bustler gets into the wall.
Bustler gets into that outside wall, and drivers got to be careful not to hit the wall too hard. Otherwise, you could get yourself required damage. And in the featured race, drivers will not have that fast repair in their back pocket to work with, nor do they have a fast repair to work with during the heats. We're 6 laps in of that of 25 here for heat number 1. We still have a second heat after this to watch, but already drivers on the outside lane trying to find the cushion to really just hold that outer groove. But really, it's the exit of the corners right now, Trevor, where it seems like it's either the center or the exit that's the main trouble at this current moment.
Yeah, it's trying to get the power down in these trucks off the corner exit. You'll really see them start to really work the wheel. The trucks really get sideways on them as they work that wheel left to right, trying to get that thing straightened out. We can see it on board here with the 12 of them meddling, just how much wheel work really going into this as he's in the corner. See him sawing at that wheel, trying to get that truck rotating through there, get it a nice slide. And on corner exit, you see how much he's got to really work that wheel to get it straight and get it arced into the next corner, meddling, doing some wheel in there, trying to catch him to the 55 of Sam Siegel.
I mean, I feel like we talk about it every single time. We've got an Andrew Medley Cam. It's the focus that he has, but usually the steady hand is what we also talk about when we look at his driver cams. And right now, not a single moment where he's not working that wheel in some fashion, going left, right, trying to get this truck pointed in the right direction, and as well trying to make it through the corners as still staying off the wall. Got to give kudos to the 12 machine for doing that. Some reports of other drivers deeper in the field. Ryan Stenhoff in pit road, required damage. Doug Pierce has called it quits on trying to run more of this heat race, as that of Jonathan Casebeer has gone a lap down. 11 drivers still on the lead lap, but the driver that's really looking strong at this moment, that's Cameron Sarton, who is just dominating up front. We're getting a sense and a look of what it's like to be running this track for these drivers. I gotta say, Trevor, right now, 11 laps in, most of this field's looking pretty steady when it comes to that of dirt track racing.
Yeah, looking really good for these guys, and I know a lot of guys didn't have a lot of confidence coming into this. I know I talked to Cameron Sarton for a little bit last week, and he wasn't filled with a lot of confidence. Ran some of the C fixed races and officials before this a couple weeks ago when it was at Eldora, just to get some more track time and feel a little bit more comfortable. Thought he might have learned something from a couple of guys in that, and it's looking good for that 24 machine. But you know, everybody behind him, Esri, Stitz, Zach, I mean, they're all running really good. You got the 21 of Ross Tatum catching up to these guys. They all look pretty good right now as well.
They really do. And, you know, and other things that we haven't really touched on that much, as another driver's hit pit road. That's going to be Jason Ferre, not able to make it the full distance with more damage from the Ambush Racing team. But, you know, the wall riding effect, that is going to be something that's going to be touched on a lot as this track starts to fade away and what we call slicking off in the center of this track, and even moving all the way up to the outside wall is the drivers bouncing into the outside wall. Before, you know, the Ross Chastain wall riding, you know, great move in real life at Martinsville. iRacing had to make adjustments after that, you know, move, and controversial move in some ways, but a great move to get them into the championship for real life NASCAR. But those adjustments have really started to affect even the trucks here on dirt. Trevor, that's something I'm curious about, because in the old patch, wall riding was the fastest way to get around some of these dirt tracks. Now, it seems like it stalls out drivers pretty quickly.
Yeah, with that adjustment, I mean, basically you cannot hit the wall flat with the truck and ride that momentum all the way around the corner like we used to see all the time, you know, especially here at Eldora, Bristol Dirt. and a couple of the other dirt tracks. But I think what we'll see a lot of is the right quarter panel, the tail end of the right side of the truck. You'll see that get into the wall a little bit, and that's not going to affect these guys a lot. It's really going to let them know, okay, hey, I'm at that wall. This is kind of like my turn point to where I need to kind of start working my way back down the track. But the wall riding, Sam, I don't think we're going to see a lot of that tonight. If we do, I think it's going to hurt these guys, but I'd be interested to see if somebody does try it at some point.
Ooh, it's going to feel gutsy enough to try something that daring as 8 laps left to go in heat number 1. Big kudos to this field. They've done a great job keeping it green. No yellows have been thrown at all. There's been a couple of drivers forced to come into pit road. Now Ryan Stenhoff has already left the session, but he can come back before our heat 2 is done. And as well, after heat 2, the drivers will have a 5-minute warm-up time to try to get any other kinks out of their system. As you're seeing some drivers testing that middle lane. Ross Tatum of the 21 was testing, trying to go a little bit lower, but got out of shape, trying to hold steady. Here's Sam Siegel trying some deeper moves. Really, everyone from about that second on back, keeping very close. I mean, second to fifth, pretty close pack of those 4. Until you look up a second ahead, that's where Cameron Sarton is trying to pull away. 5 to go now here at Eldora for heat number 1.
And the battle's going to be back here for 4th with Ross Tatum trying to catch in on Zach Hall. Zach's gotten a little bit out of shape a couple times out of the corners, gotten into that wall, kind of slowed his momentum down. Ross has been looking, trying to see what he can do, but Ross kind of stuck in the wall. Zach's in the wall again. And these two trying to find any little bit of speed, a little bit of grip they can to try to pull away from one another. Or in Ross's case, trying to close in, but that 21 truck just looking for anything he can. But they're closing in quickly on the 17 of Chris Stitz, who's fallen back into this battle.
That they certainly are, and showing that this track can really turn into a single lane course, even with how wide it is. It's that clean track surface that allows drivers to really enable them to run some very aggressive lines everywhere around this course. As Ross Tatum diving it down low, gonna be going with a slide job, but allows right into Chris Stitz, and yellow flag flies with 3 to go here in heat number 1.
And that's the move that I think these drivers are going to have to try to pull off, is going to be that really aggressive slide job. Take it all the way down to the bottom and see if you can slide up in front of somebody. And just unfortunately right there for Chris Stitz and Ross Tatum, it's got a good enough drive through the center of the corner to kind of fill that gap. And once you start that slide job, you really can't stop it unless you spin yourself out. And Chris Stitz, the unfortunate recipient there of that contact.
Now drivers are trying out a different way as we look at a replay here of what brought out this yellow. Again, Zach Hall right on the back bumper. He's really caught up to Chris Stitz. He's getting right on the brim and already starting to spin out the 17, but then it's the 21 on the inside that comes flying up and trying to make contact with the 17. I mean, trying to avoid contact with the 17, but it's that little rear clip that just hits the tires, and away Chris Stitz goes.
Yeah, I think they would have been okay. I think had Stitz not had to straighten the truck up, I think they might have been okay if Stitz would still kind of been sliding. I don't know if the contact would have been made, but either way, I mean, that's what you got to do, Sam. I think you're going to have to be that aggressive at points, and especially here in the heat race. I mean, this is going to be your starting spot for the feature with how important track position probably will be tonight. I mean, you can't fault somebody for trying to go for that move.
Absolutely not. And for all these drivers and the way that they're trying to get set up here, I mean, take the win, you're getting that pole position. That's what Cameron Sarton wants for that 24, and he's going to be moving straight up the outside lane. This is not a surprise at all to watch out for. But ladies and gentlemen, we are in our first attempt of overtime in heat number 1. These drivers have 3 attempts. If we get a yellow flag on this first lap, we'll go into overtime attempt number 2 as we are back to green flag racing. They're hoping to see the white flag to finish out heat number 1. And it's Cameron Sarton ripping the top, looking strong. Is that Disney machine as he is pulling away? They're going to be 3 wide for a quick second for second, but it's Zach Hall that bounces away up to second position. And now going to be seeing that of Cameron Sarton out of turn number 4, hoping for the white flag. We'll keep it clean, green, and that's going to be it for these drivers. No more overtime attempts for heat number 1. They're racing it to the end of this heat. It's going to be Cameron Sarton looking for the pole. A little bit of drivers bouncing in the wall for that of Chris Essery. Zach Hall with one last diving attempt to try to close up on that gap. Not able to, and it's Cameron Sarton going to be taking the win for heat number 1.
Ross Tatum with a great battle there with Chris Essery. Battle for third. Ross Tatum's going to get that position away as he was able to cross over the 13 machine of of Essery, and Chris Stitz, I believe, comes up in 4th or 5th position after his spin. So great recovery from the 17 machine.
Oh, I'm actually re-looking at the finish, and Stitz finishes just in 6th place, passed on that last attempt. Sam Siegel going to be taking that 5th place spot. Your top 5 from that race getting bonus points. Cameron Sarton with the win. Zach Hall 2nd. Ross Tatum 3rd. 4th goes to Chris Essery, and Sam Siegel taking 5th place. All 5 of those drivers going to get bonus points. And just like that, Heat 1 is done. Heat 2 right here and ready to give you action. Taking the pole award for Heat number 2 is going to be that of Kyle Carpenter. That of Christopher Wade in the 53 is going to be in 2nd. Brian Wilson going to be in 3rd. Cole Sketty 4th. John Dart, winner from last week at Auto Club, going to be in 5th with Logan Keys 6th. Austin Call 7th. 8th goes to the Ken Campbell. Travis Dart going to be in 9th with Nick Gould going to be in 10th. That of Blair Patterson going to be in 11th. Nick Hollins going to be in 12th. Ryan Lynch in 13th, and Charles Hugel finishing out your top 14 here for Heat number 2.
Heat number 2 getting ready to go. And we're interested to see how John Dart does, coming off that kind of unexpected win last week at Auto Club. I mean, what a great finish, what a great story for John. Interested to see how he's going to do here on the dirt. Cole Sacchetti, I mean, fast at the short tracks, but here on dirt, how is he going to do? Kyle Carpenter had speed last week at Auto Club. Wade was up there as well at Auto Club, so drivers with a lot of speed, you know, the last couple of weeks, but this is a completely different animal, Sam, and it'll be interesting to see how these guys are going to tackle the dirt.
It certainly will be. There's a couple of drivers I talked to sounding very confident about their dirt racing. Austin Cole in 7th, that of Christopher Wade in 2nd. Felt very confident coming into tonight's race. Being on dirt in the trucks, let's find out how that confidence level is going to run for 25 laps. This is Heat number 2, and this is going to be our final heat before our featured event later on. And already, Kyle Carpenter trying to keep the lead position, but it falls to Christopher Wade on the outside.
Yeah, Wade with that really good run on that outside line. Cole Sacchetti's going to follow him, but Sacchetti gets sucked into the wall. You can see how much it slows down that 42 machine as Carpenter's able to keep it closer on the bottom, but not able to pull up in front of the 42. Is Sacchetti's still going to have that position. And Sam, you can already see how much wear that first heat took out of this track with that dark groove already forming up there toward the outside.
Yeah, these drivers were given the notice that the track state was going to stay converting from one race to the next, from qualifying to heat number 1 and then transferring from heat 1 to heat 2. And the way that track finished from that one race transfers, that is the way the track state's going to be on the beginning of the next race. That's why we're seeing how much wear and tear there is on the outside lane, and drivers trying to stay up front as we're riding on board with that of Logan Keys. Logan Keys didn't get the best qualifying run that he wanted, but right now, race trim looking great. 3rd place. He's got Cole Sacchetti in front of him trying to make the pass for the lead on Christopher Wade, as these drivers settling in on the outside, already showing how difficult it's going to be to make some passes.
Yeah, how difficult it is, and Keys with a really good run up through the field now up to 3rd, trying to follow the 42 machine. Sacchetti's looking for a way to get around Christopher Wade, as these top 3 have really kind of pulled away here from that of 4th place. Ken Campbell, he's gotten up there. Kyle Carpenter, our pole sitter, all the way back down in 5th, so he's fallen off a little bit, but still in that position to get a bonus point here if he can hold on. But he's got Brian Wilson trying to chase him down, followed by that of last week's winner, John Dart, trying to close in on that 5th place position.
And, you know, the one thing that we were touching on is the fact that the track state for qualifying was at its best. To see that of Brian Wilson really struggling on the entry and center of the corner. The 9, though, looking quick on exit. But these drivers, some feel a lot more comfortable on the fresh track when there's really not, the track hasn't been touched, there's plenty of moisture everywhere on track. Now, you're starting to see that darker lane on the outside. That is where it's starting to slick off. That is where the moisture is fading away for these drivers, but it's the fastest lane to be on. And Trevor, you really got to kind of go where the speed is. And for some drivers, that's slamming it into the outside wall.
Yeah, it's such an art form, dirt racing, and not something that a lot of us oval guys really dabble in, but you got to learn that in that dark groove, that's where it's going to be the slickest. That's where the truck's not going to handle as well, and you've really just got to get those 2 tires in that groove just to the outside of that dark area. But it's such a fine line to find that groove and not find the wall, and that's what you're seeing a lot of these guys struggle with, is finding that groove and not finding the wall. And some guys can get the hang of it and pull away, and other guys we've seen struggle with it, bounce off the wall.
Bouncing off the wall could give you an advantage. For others, it can give you a disadvantage. And a driver that is on the move right now, that is 7th place runner of that of John Dart. He is trying to figure out how to make some big moves, trying to figure out how to get by the 77 Kyle Carpenter. He does get by the 77. Now, his biggest opponent's been the 9. Brian Wilson just has not been able to figure out how to get by this 9. He did for about a half a lap, but then that Brian Wilson, great dive bomb moves to keep himself in the factor of staying in front of the 99 and trying to keep that best track position moving into our featured race. Again, that will come out 90 lap featured race later on tonight, as this is only heat number 2, and they've got to warm up directly after this, and then they head into their featured race as drivers even ahead of this group starting to make some big moves that are just not working. Logan Keys tried to make a dive bomb attempt up to that 3rd for 2nd place. Did not work out, but watch out for a couple of these drivers. Seems like they're starting to get a little bit antsy on the big moves that they're trying to go for.
Yeah, I think it's the 2nd time I've seen Logan Keys try to make that dive really work to get around the 42. Just hasn't been able to get it to hook up for him on the bottom, losing a couple tenths there to the 42 machine, but at least trying to make that outer groove or that inner groove work for him, and seeing if something's going to happen for him. As Kyle Carpenter's kind of falling off, he's struggling into the wall, and right now though, John Dart just drove around the outside of the 9 of Brian Wilson.
Yeah, for John Dart, I've been watching on the fact that the way he's been setting up these passes. It's right on the back bumper. It kind of gives a bump on the entry that unsettles the driver ahead. It kind of forces them to either go down low or up in the outside wall, and he just holds his line, gets by that driver. It's a very aggressive approach. Some might say otherwise, but I gotta say, this 99 making these passes work, and those are the types of moves that it's great to learn now in this heat races. You know how to perfect it in the later on featured event, as that 99 up to 5th place. Quite a big gap to try to catch up to Ken Campbell in 4th, as drivers are trying their different lines, getting a sense here from that of Nate Holland, how he's running in the 68 machine, as he also is going to have to his inside the 77, that of Kyle Carpenter, who from the lead position now to 9th place. Carpenter just looks like this old worn down surface just ain't it for the 77.
Yeah, it just doesn't look comfortable, and he's got to be kind of fearful of the main race. I mean, 90 laps, and you think it's slick now. I mean, that outer groove is basically going to disappear, and the inner groove will probably get some wear and tear on it in that 90 lap feature. So Carpenter's got to kind of figure out how he's going to attack this track. But later on in the night, back up front, that of Logan Keys caught back up to the 42 of Cole Sacchetti, tried to make that dive bomb again, Sam, but just can't get that truck to stick and get the drive off on the bottom. But they're slowly closing in on that of Christopher Wade.
They certainly are, and I gotta say, Logan Keys is probably one of the fastest drivers on track. The biggest issue, he just can't get by that of Cole Sacchetti. He's got the speed, but these dive bomb moves where he's trying to do a slide job, it's just not working at the timing that he's going for these moves. He's got to be a little bit more patient and go aggressive here. He's going to throw it down low for that of the 43. He's got to figure out a slide right in front of that of Cameron Saar. Not able to do so. He'll keep it side by side, and that's been the issue, Trevor. He's tried that attempt. That's probably the 4th time he's tried it, and yet to find success is that of Logan Keys.
Yeah, yet to find it, but I mean, you can see how much of a run he gets down there on the bottom. Almost got to the door of the 53 of Christopher Wade that last lap. This time, not going to get as close to the 53, but again, just cannot get in front of the 42 of Cole Sacchetti there. And this time, Sacchetti does a really good job, doesn't get into the outside wall like he did on the last lap. So this is just going to make the 43 fall back a little bit further, not going to give him an attempt out here in the 3 and 4 to make that same move.
As our leaders have to be starting to get a little bit more uncomfortable lap traffic in front of them. It's going to be the 30 of Charles Hugel. Is going to try to stay down low. He's going to take attempts from that of Logan Keys to try to make a move. But anything, I think this is a good time for the 43 machine. We're riding on board Cole Sacchetti, 2nd place runner, trying to close in on the gap of our leader at this time. And doesn't seem like he's trying anything too reckless. It's more so just focus on your own race. 3 to go here in heat number 2. Caution flies, and it's going to be damage for that of Austin Call, as well as Brian Wilson on the entry of turns 3 and 4. Trying to get a little bit too aggressive, 2 of those drivers, as we were late in the run, trying some big moves, and not there for neither of them, as we get ourselves a replay set up here, as they're going to be heading into overtime for attempt for that of our heat, 2nd heat of the night. I mean, Trevor, overtime, we'll see how well these drivers can do attack. For some of them, that could be a great opportunity. I think for that of Cole Sacchetti, Logan Keys, might be a hurting point for them if they're going to even try to go for a win here in heat number 2.
Yeah, I think it's going to benefit Logan Keys the most with how aggressive he has been. Christopher Wade Sacchetti not wanting to see that caution as we get a look back here and see what happened between the 18 and the 9 here in turn number, I believe it's 1. Looks like Wilson just gets into the wall a little bit too much there, and not sure.
It's going to be this is setting up for the incident. So this is coming out of 1 and 2. And you're going to see the 9 coming down, making contact, and at this point, they're both drifting hard, aggressive moves, but here comes the retaliation part. Both drivers out of control on the backstretch, and then they make collisions again on the center of the backstretch. And at this point, it's out of control. Neither of them really know where their truck is going.
Yeah, the whole incident. I mean, that's part of dirt racing. There, you saw it with Wilson getting into the wall, bounces into Austin Call, and then Austin's just trying to do what he can to save the truck, and it's so hard to save these things once they get broken loose like that, and they continue to beat and bang on each other until finally they both spin in turn number 3. But going to set us up here for staying for a green-white checkered. Second heat, second green-white checkered. The first heat made it with just 1 attempt. The question is this heat only going to take 1 attempt, or are we going to see multiple attempts here at a green-white checkered?
It's time to find out as we're about to get back to green flag action again. We keep it green till the white flag. We finish out this heat. Yellow flag on this first lap. We're going attempt number 2 as that of Ken Campbell from 4th place, now battling for second, the 15, and the preferred lane on the outside cruise. Logan Key is able to bounce into the outside. It's that of Cole Sacchetti struggling for the 42 machine as he falls now back to that of 4th, about to even lose 5th place as he cannot get to the outside lane. And out of that, at turn number 4, we keep it clean, we keep it green, and white flag is in the air for heat number 2.
White flag's in the air. Sacchetti's going to dive it to the inside, try to cover off that of Travis Dart, but Dart's going to have that run on the outside along with John Dart as they bounce off the wall. The 42 machine, after getting stuck on the inside on the restart, just not going to have anything there. But up front, Logan Keys is going to try to dive it to the inside of Ken Campbell for second, but he's not going to have enough as Campbell's going to hold on for second place.
Campbell holds on, and that will be the end of heat number 2. Christopher Wade taking the crown, and that will place him in the front row for this featured race as well, getting the bonus points. Ken Campbell, second place. Logan Keys going to get third, with Travis Dart and John Dart finishing out your top 5, getting those bonus points. Well, those were heat races, 25 laps each, and that would just count a little bit over halfway for our featured event. Drivers are now going to have to have a 5-minute warm-up time for themselves before we get ourselves into a 90-lap featured event. Going to be a lot of hard racing, drivers attempting dive bomb moves, slide job moves. The question is, who will make it and survive and get the win here tonight? Well, time will tell. We'll be back in just a few moments. When we come back, we'll talk about some of our amazing sponsors here at that of the Full Send Racing Series and Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you got your rest. 5 minutes is done. Drivers have warmed up, and now they're ready to get back to racing action. And for us, we got to say big thanks to a lot of the amazing sponsors that allow us to perform here tonight, and the majority of them coming from the Full Send Racing series themselves. Starting things off with that of the Lap Traffic Podcast. Hey, if you're looking for some quality time, looking for a time to just settle in, go listen to the Lap Traffic Podcast. As well, ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. And as well, if you're trying to get yourself a racing rig or just a comfortable chair, head on over to Next Level Racing. Thank you to the amazing sponsors that help out here at the Full Send Racing series. Well, that's done. Heats are done. And now it's time for the featured event. Well, let's find out where they are going to be starting out tonight after their featured races. And I mean, for that of all their heat races to set up for this featured 90-lap stint. Cameron Sargent going to be taking that pole award, as well as it's going to be Christopher Wade, the winners of our heat races. Zach Hall, Ken Campbell going to be third, fourth. Ross Tatum, Logan Keys going to be in fifth and sixth. Seventh going to be Chris Esserich. Eighth goes to Travis Dart. Sam Siegel in ninth, and John Dart taking that 10th place position.
Chris Ditzel roll off 11th with Cole Sakitty in 12th, Will Bustler in 13th, Nick Holland 14th, Andrew Medlin 15th, Kyle Carpenter will be in 16th, Philip Chavez and Ryan Lynch 17 and 18th, and then Lyle Christensen and Blair Patterson will round out your top 20.
Then it's going to be Jonathan Casebeer, Nick Gould, as well as Jason Frey, as well as that of Brian Wilson, Doug Pierce, Charles Hugel, and that of Austin Cole. Going to be your 27 trucks here tonight. Ryan Stenhoff not getting back into the session in time to race. That of the 74 will take that of the 28th position. Up front, the drivers have already done one formation lap. It means it is time for us to get ready for racing action. We got the 24, the 53. They know how to get to victory lane already here tonight, but it's time for, instead of just 20 laps of racing, it's 90 laps of racing. The pace truck is up, and it's time for the Full Send Racing Series. The F4 graphics on the dirt here at Eldora. It's green down into turn number 1.
Cameron Sargent didn't get a good jump there on the outside as I thought he was going to, but he's going to have that outside line, try to have that advantage on the 53. Christopher Wade, you can just see the drive off that he gets there down the back straightaway, that momentum he can carry, but Wade holding strong on the bottom. He's got Zach Hall down there with him, as well as Ross Tatum in the 21 as Campbell looks to slide up in the 21, gets loose and gets turned.
The fireworks went off, and now cars are going off the track. It's the 21 Ross Tatum, gonna find himself being spun around. The rest of the field checks down, slows up, and they're gonna have to restack it up for another twirl as the 21 Ross Tatum just tried to get back to the throttle, but was too sideways, one bad bump, and Trevor, just like that, we're seeing our first yellow in the first 3 laps of this race. That is the first, not the first, but the quickest yellow that we've seen in either of our heat races, and now here tonight.
Yeah, it just looks like for Ross, tried to get back into the throttle, truck got loose, slid up in front of, I couldn't tell who that was. I think it was the 13 of Essery, and then gets hit again and spun all the way around, and that's just what happens. I mean, everybody's going to be bunched up like this. 27 trucks out on track right now. I mean, we had 14, I believe, in each heat race, and so now 27. I mean, this is the most trucks we've had on track all night long, and that's going to happen for these guys on these restarts. They got to be careful.
And small little hiccups, can't get too many of them, especially on the fact that they do not have a fast repair to work with here tonight. And actually, looking back, there was a massive melee that happened after that initial contact. There was a second group of drivers, with that of Ryan Lynch, as well as Nick Gould, Case Beard, Ryan Wilson. The whole entire basically back half of the racetrack got clogged up for a quick second. And in pit road with required damage is Ryan Lynch and Nick Gould, with that of Ryan Stenhoff not starting tonight's race. It's already seeing 3 drivers that started the night off looking to be out of this race very quickly.
Yeah, it's actually a second wreck behind that of what happened to Ross Tatum. Couldn't get that replay pulled up for you, but it looks like Lynch got contact with Blair Patterson, gets collected there by the 9 of Brian Wilson, the 14 involved, as well as Gould. Case Beer's involved in it, along with Austin Call. So all those drivers, a little bit of damage, a couple of them, as you said, required damage. Not how you wanted to start your night off two laps into a 90-lap race.
Not at all, but let's get restarted back here tonight at Eldora. It's going to be that of Cameron Sargent, ripping the top, feeling comfortable. Bottom feeding is going to be that of that of Christopher Wade, and as well as a couple of others. deeper in the field, already 3 wide, but up front, it's the 24. Comfortable, confident, and trying to pull away. As you see that on the inside groove, trying to hold steady. That's going to be Logan Keys in the 43. You also are going to be seeing that of the 13 of Essery and others testing their limits. How does this inside lane feel comfortable for the 17 of Chris Stitz, who has won on a dirt track before? He's got a lot of work to get back up front and racing.
Yeah, Stitz has a lot of work after that contact that he had in heat number 1 that put him toward the back of the field. Got to work his way back up as Keys finds a way to slide up in front of the 68 of Nick Holland there and kind of checks everybody up behind him, but Keys finally finds some track position to slide back up, but it's going to leave the 17 now of Stitz, the only one really on that inside line. He's got the one of Will Bustler down there as well, but those two, I think, Sam, are going to have to force their way back up into the top if they want to find a new way of moving forward, or they're going to keep going backwards here as the 77 of Carpenter now gets to the outside of that of Chris Stitz.
And now all that learning lesson for the drivers that ran R2 heat races of how do you get through the traffic once this cushion is already built up is in the works. We're only coming up to the start of lap 10 of 90, and really Trevor is already turning into looking like a single lane racetrack, especially in the fact, like you noted on, 14 drivers ran the heat race, only 27 starting out this race, which means this track is going to get beat up it's going to get beat up faster than the heat races were.
Yeah, that upper line is really going to dry out quickly, especially when you have 27 trucks essentially all running that outside line. So it means there's going to be a lot of moisture down there on the bottom available for these guys to use if they want to try to take advantage of it. But the question is, who's going to be the first ones down there later in this race to try to use that to their advantage, and how are you going to use that to your advantage? So something we'll have to watch out on for later tonight. But right now, everybody up near that wall trying to gain as much speed as they can to try to set up for the person in front of them.
Trying to set up for the person in front of them, and as well with more drivers on track, lap traffic is going to be a factor if we can stay green long enough for our leaders to have to deal with them. As right now, it's Cameron Sarton as well as Zach Hall going to be your top 2 fastest drivers on track right now. It's actually Zach Hall in the 32 machine. As you see that Cameron Sarton is bumper, starting to see a little bit of traffic ahead of him. Those are some of the drivers involved with that first caution of the melee that happened in the back half of the field for our first yellow. But Trevor, Zach Hall, a driver that has been adapting at a lot of our different tracks, he's really been having to relearn these trucks. And here tonight, I mean, this is probably the biggest step that he's going to have learning a vehicle, one the trucks and as well under.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge learning curve, especially when you're trying to relearn a vehicle that you haven't raced in a while, like the trucks, and then you bring it here to a dirt track, or a surface that you don't race on a lot. That's a real big curveball for you to pick up, and Zach looking really good right now, a little bit quicker, about a tenth quicker than that of Cameron Sarton the last couple of laps, this time by Sarton almost as quick as that of the 32 machine of Zach Hall. But Zach's proven, though, that in these trucks he can be quick, as he's already won twice this season, once at Homestead, and he went back-to-back at Homestead and Bristol. Yeah,
going back-to-back during that side got cut off last week as John Dart found himself in a victory lane, but certainly a lot of speed those drivers have been feeling and trying to search for as we look deeper in the field. This is Lyle Christensen in that 22nd position. He's right around that of Doug Pierce in that 23rd, as well as Brian Wilson. Wilson, we saw have a lot of speed in his heat race in heat number 2, but caught up early in a wreck here in this race. He's got a lot of work if he wants to get back into this circuit. You also bounce forward in this pack. You got that of Jason Ferre and also Blair Patterson trying to just survive up inside of the top 20.
Yeah, trying to survive, but they can't look too far behind them because here comes the leader with Cameron Sarton closing in on these guys. And lap traffic, not something that we talk about a lot week to week, apart from maybe the short tracks, but here lap traffic is going to be difficult to get to, especially with everybody essentially running the same line.
Yeah, running the same line, and as well with the fact that it seems like lap cars are being very respectful, staying low, but caution flag's going to fly. And it's the 22nd position of Brian Wilson in the 9 machine going to be bringing out this yellow on the backstretch.
And that's going to stack everybody back up and give everybody a chance to see what they can do. Is we'll get a replay brought up here of what happened to the 9 of Brian Wilson. But Sam, this is going to stack everybody back up, and this could get interesting on this restart.
Really could, as a couple of drivers had actually come into pit road, just too much damage for that of Jonathan Casebeer and Doug Pierce. As we were talking about them, they actually came into pit road to get service done for themselves, as well as Charles Hugel coming into pit road under our last yellow, as the 9 machine brings out our yellow flag here. I mean, Trevor, already 2 quick yellows to start out tonight as we get a look at this replay, just showing how difficult this track can be.
Yeah, it looks like just didn't get out of the slick zone there and stayed in it and got a little loose for the 9. Wasn't able to save it as he slides down, makes a little bit of contact, pretty significant contact with the inside wall, actually. So more damage for the 9 there of Brian Wilson as he had damage from that first wreck as well. But just showing you, like you said, how difficult it is to get around here, especially when you miss the groove that has the grip.
Brian Wilson not happy with the way that run was and being caught up in that wreck. He is going to be getting himself out of the car, letting the vehicle get some repairs done, as well as Jonathan K. Spears in pit road getting repairs done, Doug Pierce, Ryan Lynch, and Nick Gould all getting their fast repairs finished up. As for that of 3 and the 14, they've been in pit road since practically lap number 2. Up front, going to be that of Cameron Sergeant Zach Hall. For Zach Hall, this is not going to be a fun restart for this 32 machine. He's going to be on the inside lane, and we've seen at our heats for that of the green-white checkers, if you're on the inside, especially when the track is this worn down, you're most likely going backwards, and the green flag is out. The 32 hoping to get back up in the outside lane. Ken Campbell going to be having his nose there, but there's the slide job move that forces the 32 back in line. What is everyone else stacking up for that 5th place on back?
Yeah, thankfully for that, as Zach Hall, Ken Campbell didn't get a great launch there, wasn't able to cover off that top line, so that allows the 32 to pull up in front of him, clear that spot, get back into 2nd. But right now it's going to be that of Wade battling with Campbell, trying to see who can get that spot. Sacchetti battling with that of Travis Dart, trying to figure out who's going to take the 5th spot away, and then everybody else trying to get single filed out behind them back to the top of the racetrack.
That of Cole Scatti able to get himself in line, found a little bit of an open pocket for himself. As the drivers up front, very interesting lines are being ran for front 2 as you see Ken Campbell, that of Chris Essery throwing it down low as Ken Campbell sticks it in the outside wall. Contact's going to be made, the 15 in the outside wall. They continue to rub on one another, somehow keep it straight, and the battle continues on for who's staying in 4th.
Sacchetti trying to get that inside line to work for him, not going to get it done. Campbell's going to get the run off, clears the 42. Travis Dart now trying to see if he can take advantage of it further back. Essery to the inside with John Dart trying to take that spot away, but he can't really get the truck to rotate off the corner. The 99's going to get the run off. But these guys starting to pick up the battle and beating and banging on, and they're not afraid to beat and bang on one another.
They really are, and it's Christopher Wade. He won heat number 2, trying to find himself up front as both of the drivers that really ran well in heat number 1. Cameron Sergeant Zach Hall trying to continue to stay up front. Staying low here, going to be Logan Keys. Trying to figure out how to get by, and as well, you got Kyle Carpenter, one of our bigger movers of the night, up 5 positions. Other big mover, Nick Holland, in 7th place. He's up 7 positions, as well as Matt Polsketti from where they qualified. Austin Keys, the biggest mover, up 10 positions, back in 17th place. But John Dart has really been watching him. He's been trying to stay consistent in the same way that he was running pretty aggressive for the 99 during his heat number 2. Trying to keep that same intensity, trying to go through the field.
Yeah, trying to get through the field here and do it cleanly. That 99 truck was fairly clean compared to everybody around him. Doesn't look like it has a lot of rear end damage from getting into the wall. So that gets a little bit of the wall on the corner exit there, but Logan Keys now going to drive it down to the inside to see what he can do here and see if he can make the slide job stick. Slides up in front of the 99, a little bit of contact made, and Keys is going to get spun around.
Keys goes around, the race stays green as he's off the racing surface, but he bounces back up, and that is going to bring up our 3rd caution of the night on lap 30, and that's some good old hard dirt track racing right there. 43 tried the slide job move, didn't stick, and I mean, Trevor, that's what you kind of have to try, is those big moves that will either give you great rewards or massive downsides if they don't work.
Yeah, and he got it cleared. The problem was just lost all his momentum, and you can't really slam on the brakes in these trucks. You'll end up spinning yourself out with the way that they're set up to get around here. And for John Dart, just gets into the back of the 43 of Keys and spins Logan around to the infield. But, I mean, we saw Logan try those slide jobs in his heat race, wasn't able to pull them off, gets in front of the 99 there, but just didn't have the momentum to keep in front and keep clear of that front bumper of John Dart.
Was not able to keep it clear, but as we're under our third caution of the night, let's give some thanks for our own sponsors here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Going to start things off with iRacing iFlag. iRacing iFlag, if you want to get yourself a patented iFlag virtual flag system, go ahead on over to iRacingIFlag.com, where you can also find some other great products. Their digital pit board that gives you great data on that fuel usage, what the weather conditions are like, great information to allow you, the driver, to have the information to drive and perform at your best. And remember to use our promo code FreakyFast2022 today. And as well, I want to give a big thanks to another great sponsor, as with all the yellows that come out, a lot of penalties and black flags will be also given. Some might need to be cleared, and that's where you get yourself an admin box. One simple button can clear all the black flags or even bring out a yellow flag if you're an admin, and as well can be great for you as a driver. If you need to make any adjustments, go use your admin box, and remember, use our promo code FFB-BOXX. That's FFB-box 2X's, as we're back to green flag racing here at Eldora.
They did a good job there by Zach Hall being able to beat Kane Campbell in the center of the corner, get that 32 machine back up to that outside line so he doesn't lose a couple spots there. But now it's going to be Christopher Wade. He's to the inside of the 15 machine. He bounces off the wall. He's got Travis Dart pressuring, but Wade not going to be able to slide up in front of the 15, going to slide up here in front of the 26 of Travis Dart. Think about it, but no, he's going to dive it back to the inside. The battle for third continues.
I mean, when you're trying to make these slide jobs work, you have to be assertive on those movements. And like this, Christopher Wade went all the way down, but he was holding that inside lane. You have to figure out how to hold that inside lane, but also come up in the middle portion of the apex of the corner. It allows you to come up, cut off any type of momentum that outside driver might have. But if you're running like Christopher Wade is, I mean, Trevor, this isn't really helping you in any way, except for when you see drivers like Ken Campbell at the wall, someone spinning in the back that looks to be Nick Holland down on the inside wall, as other drivers trying to hold steady. A lot of drivers starting to lose the rear ends. I'm not surprised. This was around the window drivers were concerned about. A little bit before halfway, the track starting to get a lot darker on the outside. And Trevor, that is going to be an issue as we hop on board with our Andrew Medlin cam.
Yeah, on board with Medlin. He's got the 77 of Carpenter, the 21 of Ross Tatum battling in front of him. And Ross now using that bottom line, the same as the 53 of Christopher Wade. And we can see now that bottom line kind of looking like it's getting a few more participants down there, but you can really see that outside groove on board here with Ken Campbell, how much that's really moved up the dark slick spot has. But we got caution on the racetrack.
It's going to be Jason Ferre on that of turns 1 and 2. He's on the inside of the back in 22nd position of 118. We'll be bringing out another caution, and not been a great night for that of the Ambush Racing team, as Jonathan Casebeer is already out of this race. Now Jason Ferre going to be bringing out our 4th caution of the night, and bring out a quick yellow for themselves. It seems like this is going to be the traditional way that we see some of the accidents, Trevor, once you get a replay of this wreck of drivers just simply looping it around on the entry of the corner or on the exit. Just a lot of drivers using a little bit too much excess throttle control, just too much throttle and not enough grip, as you see this 9 looping it, that of the 118 looping it around.
Yeah, just never got out of the slick zone there in the middle of the corner. And you drive these trucks with the throttle in the corners here at Eldora to get them around, and Lau Christensen just nowhere to go as he's on the bottom. And like I said, you can't get on the brakes because it'll just spin you out, and Christensen just nowhere to go, plows into the side of Ferre there. But again, just not getting out of that slick spot and getting on the throttle a little bit too early. And like, I think you're right, Sam. I think that's what we're going to see a majority of the time for these cautions, is just trucks not getting into the grip zone and spinning themselves out.
As with that contact for Lyle Christensen, going to be too much damage for that of 52. Blown engine. You saw that puff of smoke after the T-bone contact happened. So now going to be seeing the 52 in pit road, joining other drivers. Do want to give credit to Nick Gould. Got required damage done. 14's back out there on track, as a couple of drivers called tonight, Brian Wilson and also Case Beer. Green flags back out of the air. Zach Hall able to close and clear his way back up and get up to 2nd place. As drivers already spinning out, it's going to be Cole Sacchetti spinning, and the rest of the field piling in.
Medlin's involved, in 91 involved as well, and I think that might be Austin Call looks like in the 18, another one of those Ambush Racing trucks involved. And again, for the ambush guys, tough night here, but tough break for that of Cole Sacchetti, as he was up there in the top 5 before that incident.
Yeah, Cole Sacchetti going to be the official first initial driver, spun around, and then everyone else just trying to react to get away from that of the 42. And you know, when this racetrack gets to this point, we're coming up to the halfway marker of this race, as caution laps do count. For us over the booth, we're thankful for it. The drivers are thankful for it, because I think we'd be here all night long if they didn't count. But drivers are starting to realize the fact of, with it being one lane, everyone wants to be up there on the high side. It's just getting so difficult. It's becoming too jam-packed, and drivers getting pushed out of the way. And I think that's what we're going to see on this replay, Trevor, is the fact that Cole Sacchetti just didn't have space and got forced out and spun around.
Yeah, he tried to slide up in front of the 26 of John Dart there. And again, kind of like what we saw early on or earlier with Logan Keys, lost all his momentum there, gets run over from behind by Travis Dart there, and spun around. A little bit of contact with the 21 of Ross Tatum. Medlin slides in there. He's got nowhere to go. Blair Patterson in the 91's caught up in it. The 1 of Will Bustler's involved. There you see Patterson sliding in with nowhere to go. And then it's Foray again, just nowhere for the 118 to go, as his night continues to go downhill as he gets a little bit more damage in this wreck.
For that, Blair Patterson getting the worst of it, as the required damage given to the 91, who also had to take the tow to pit road. Pace truck is off. We're quickly back to racing action here at Eldora. We're at the halfway marker, as we've got ourselves 45 laps still to go here on the dirt.
Yeah, and Zach Hall took a little bit of a look to the inside of the 24 of Medlin, slowed him up in the center of the corner, checked up the 15 with Ken Campbell. That's going to allow Christopher Wade to get a good run for 3 and 4, but I don't think Wade's going to be able to slide up in front of the 15. He's going to do it, though, and he's going to make it big.
I mean, Christopher Wade is starting to figure out that inside lane because of how much that dark groove, the shiny aspect, is starting to get bigger and bigger. The 53, who has been down low, has been finding spots on where to put himself on the inside lane to make some big passes, as drivers starting to get a little bit more clustered up. Going to be side-by-side happening for 5th place. It's Chris Zessary, as well as that of Travis Dart. Travis Dart, his goal here tonight for the 26, just survive. He's had 3 races in a row where the 26 has been caught up in a wreck. He wants to make it to the end of tonight's race, and he's performing well like he did last week at Auto Club.
Yeah, had a really good run going for him at Auto Club. Just after the stage weight got caught up in an unfortunate incident where he got hooked into the outside wall down the backstretch, but looking good here tonight, running in 6th position for that 26 machine, and kind of closing in on Chris Essery in the 13, but now after that little bit of contact with the wall, he's got to worry about Ross Tatum in the 21, who's had a great recovery run after his earlier incident that sent him to the back of the field to be back up here inside the top 10.
Right now we're watching all the drivers and the action from about 7th back to that of 13th on screen. Drivers on top of one another. Will Bustler moving up in front of the pack, and he squeezes up the field. Yellow flag will strike as caution flag is out, and it's for Jason Foray, 19th position. The 118 finding himself being stuck, and I think he was trying to head into pit road, and it did not go the way that he wanted.
Yeah, not sure if he just looks like he just missed the entrance of pit road. Looking back on it on my end, and got stuck in the barrels, and just an unfortunate caution there or unfortunate incident for Foray, as he was just trying to pull that 118 truck off pit road and get some service done to it.
And for that, the 118 had to take a tow to pit road because he got stuck. Also required damage, which this field shrinking quickly. We started out with 28 drivers that all went through qualifying in the heat races. Taking the actual race for the featured event, we dropped 1 driver to that of 27, as that of Cian Stenhoff did not decide he wanted to race and test his fate on the dirt. We've had a total of 2 drivers call it a night officially, that of Brian Wilson and Jonathan Casebeer, still in pit road from the very first accident of this race. Doug Pierce, as well as Ryan Lynch, still getting repairs for themselves. And most recently, Lyle Christensen, blown engine, Blair Patterson, blown engine, and now Jason Foray with the tow to pit road. Not sure on the full extent on his damage, but the required damage flag is still out for the 118. But up front, Trevor, we're talking about these front drivers, top 4, really not a lot of change, you could say, since the start of this race. It's everyone 5th on back. That's where we're starting to really see that shuffling. Is there any drivers, we're about to get to green flag racing, that you're picking out of someone to watch out for that could crack into our top 4.
And, you know, I got to say Chris Essery's been looking pretty good back there, and he's going to get a start on the inside here along with that of Travis Dart. I mean, Travis Dart's looking pretty good, and he gets the outside starting position here going into turn number 1. So see if that 26 truck can make up a couple positions on the guys who get stuck on the bottom.
As we are green, Cameron Sarton's already gone. Zach Hawley will move up to the outside lane, but he's got to be careful because Christopher Wade to be diving it down low, trying to get a great run, gets back into the throttle. Their driver's back there 3 wide, door banging. Pass for second is made. Christopher Wade, who has kept it solid on the inside, but caution flag waves. It's John Dart, the 99, spun around.
Oh, last week's winner gets unfortunately caught up in an incident here. And not sure what happened to him, but big moves there, Sam, that we saw from those guys. Essery made a big move to the inside, almost spun himself out, and then Christopher Wade with a big dive to the inside gets around the 32 of Zach Hall.
Yeah, but here's the thing for the 53. Now he's got to hope that he gets a good launch for himself here and can do the same moves that Zach's been able to do of clearing himself, moving up, and not losing the track position of the drivers behind in that 3rd or 4th. We'll see if Christopher Wade is solid on this restart or not. As we take a look here at this replay, watch out. You see those drivers 3 wide pinching with one another. That's Stitz, Call, as well as Cole Sketti. Sketti's going to get clear. He moves straight across, and at this point doesn't have the grip as he gets into that black slicks, gets up into the 99, and that's when John Dart went from a confident running position back into that of Austin Call. And the 99 went from what's been feeling like a heroic run after last week's win at Auto Club to kind of back to the luck that he's had for most of the season. Hard contact for Philip Chavez there late, which is going to force the 101 to pit road as other drivers drifting to get around the standstill vehicle.
Yeah, just nowhere for nothing that John really did there. I mean, it was just 3 wide, hard battling behind him. The contact was made there with Sacchetti. Sacchetti cleared it. Once he got it cleared, thought maybe that nobody was to his outside, slid up into John Dart, and then everybody, it's a scatter after that. Everybody trying to get around it, and Chavez just nowhere to go, trying to keep that truck straight down the straightaway, gets into the front end there of John Dart, as I believe we're on board with that of Chavez, taking a look at what happens in front of him.
You just see drivers scattering. I mean, there's not much that you can do. He's raking it over, but we talked about brakes. You hit the brakes, it just slides. And sometimes it feels like you hit the brakes and it's just a magnet to wherever the carnage is. And Philip Chavez, too much carnage. Gonna have to find himself in a pit road as we are back to green flag racing. And it's going to be Cameron Sarton. Great run for himself as that of Christopher Wade able to hold steady for 2nd place. Zach Hall, Ross Tatum. But Trevor, the evolution of racing, we got ourselves about 30 laps to go, and the inside lane is looking strong now.
Yeah, you can see now everybody's moved. Even Cameron Sarton's now moved to the groove right below the black, what they call the black there, all the way around the racetrack. Christopher Wade all the way to the bottom in that 53 truck, and he's looking good down there as they're pulling away from that of Kim Campbell, who's still running the outside line, but the 24, the 53, battling hard down here into turn number 1.
After that last lap of drivers running down low, those running up high, the faster driver was Ken Campbell on that outside lane, looking fast as a 15. The question is, will that of Cameron Sarton really move up? He's got to move up here. And Trevor, this is as a leader, things can get tricky because you have to be predicting where you think the speed is, while drivers behind, they can test all they want. As you see the drivers meleeing their way 3 wide, some trying to go high, low, anywhere they can go. Logan Keys, 7th place, gonna be trying to figure out how to get by that Travis Dart. Ross Tatum has done a great job trying to move forward and stay steady, but it's that 13, Chris Essery. He's on the inside for that 9th position, trying to get up to 8th.
Yeah, and Essery, after his almost spin that he had right before that last caution came out, when he got really loose coming out the corner after these aggressive dive bombs, still trying to make that middle lane work for him, but in front of him, Logan Keys now to the bottom, trying to make that work. Travis Dart with a huge crossover move on the 43 of Logan Keys down the front.
For the lead up front, starting to see some movement up there, and it's Christopher Wade taking the lead position. Caution flag flies, and there we go. Quickly, things change.
Oh, and this is going to hurt for Cameron Sarton, as now he's going to have to start on the inside on this restart. So not only did he lose the lead, but now going to be in the non-favorable starting position. But Sam, with the way this track's changed, that might be good for the 24 machine with how, after watching how quick Christopher Wade was on that inside line.
Trying to figure out where this yellow is, because I don't see it on my end. I don't know if you figured out where it is on your end, Trevor. And I believe that's just a simple car spinning out, not going fully sideways, that brought out this yellow.
Yeah, I'm not able to find it either. Not sure what happened. Might have been the 91 of Blair Patterson joining the racetrack off of pit road, slowly waiting for everybody to get by.
Yes, that is.
When he edged out of pit road, might have thought it was a wrecked truck down there, would be my thought.
I just went through, and that's exactly what it was that brought out the yellow. If you're going below a minimum speed while oncoming traffic is heading your way, yellow flag will be thrown. If you're on the racing surface, Blair Patterson was below that minimum. Wasn't his planning, as Blair just got back out there after 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes of repairs at pit road, just trying to get anything this 91 can get, but gonna be out there on track, bringing out another yellow flag. Resetting, and honestly, gonna make things a lot more exciting, with especially on the fact that this track now gonna be evolved into a place where we're gonna be seeing multiple different lanes. See how well they can do up front. As we look at a rookie class, Logan Keys gonna be the biggest mover of those rookie drivers, 5th place for that of the 43. Also a couple of other drivers trying to have some good runs, but the majority of our rookies, that night's for themselves. They're gonna try to reset, come back next week as we're back to green flag racing.
Christopher Wade taking that inside line here on the restart, not the preferred outside line that we've seen Cameron Sarton take all night long when he was in the lead, and that's going to allow Sarton to get a really good run down here into 3 and 4, but Wade's going to cover him off as they're going to take the same line. Behind them, Zach Hall, he's going to take that outside line, but he's got the 15 of Ken Campbell, his teammate, to his inside as they battle it out for 3rd and 4th, but Logan Keys now there in the 43 machine, he's going to take it to the outside wall, try to get around that 15.
Logan Keys looks fast. He's found something in that outside lane because he is closing in quickly as we hop on board with that Ross Tatum, that Ken Campbell, getting a good shot of how Logan Keys wants to run this race. Just drivers running their own lane and trying to figure out, is the outside where you want to be? And I got to say, for the 43, he has found something in the center of the corner off the exit. The only issue is there's a driver in his way, and that's Zach Hall.
Yeah, you saw how much it really hurt him there on exit of turn number 2. Lost a lot of time with Zach Hall in front of him. Coming under fire now from Ross Tatum, Ken Campbell, and that of the 13 and Chris Essery as those three battle it out behind him. But the 43 still using that outside line, still getting a really good launch as he's closing now back in on the 32 of Zach Hall.
You want to make your passes now, but you recognize this race, it can stay green to the end. Most likely it won't, as these drivers trying to be very aggressive moves. Seeing that timer click away, and the laps as well. We're less than 20 laps to go here tonight, as it's Christopher Wade holding strong for himself. Watching out, drivers contact meshing. Kenny our contact. Drivers still pointing straight, so no yellow flag will come out, but somehow we keep it green.
Keep it green, but a hard contact for the 42 of Sacchetti. He's going to have to bring that machine down pit road after that battling goes wrong for him. So what it was a good night, gone bad, gone good, gone bad again for the 42 of Cole Sacchetti.
And up front, going to be seeing drivers still trying to march their way forward. This is the battle for 7th place. That of Chris Essery, that of Ross Tatum, as well behind them. The battling for 10th, Will Hustler, and also that of Travis Dart, going to be for 9th, for those drivers. But a little bit of quickly snapping with one another. Drivers at this point just trying to hold on the best that they can. It's not even try to hit a line and you'll stay steady. It's hit a line and hopefully you won't drift up and take out the driver to your outside or inside, as all the meshing of trying to gain position, stay where you're at. You see a back shot of seeing that Nick Holland trying to make his way on the outer groove. Still seeing drivers testing different lanes. Up front, Christopher Wade is still holding strong for the lead position. Cameron Sarton, he is wall riding, trying to find a little bit of extra something to catch up to our leader, and I think he might have found something there as he closes in just slowly there on the exit turn 2.
Yeah, the last couple laps been about a 10th quicker than that of Christopher Wade on that outside line, so might have found a little bit of speed still up there for that 24 machine, but you can see now even the bottom groove where Christopher Wade's running starting to slick off there. So that might have to force the 53 back up to the top line, and I don't think he's going to be that comfortable up there, Sam, as the 24 is to Cameron Sarton. Sarton still trying to track down our race leader as caution's out.
no, and it's Travis Dart spun around for that of the 26 as he was running extremely hard with that of Nick Holland, and it's just not going to work out. Spinning out the 26 machine, he was running up front, trying to go for a top 10 finish, and now he's going to have a very short turnaround to try to get back up front as he's going to be around 15th place for the 26.
Yeah, it's going to be about a 10-lap shootout for these guys. This race has gone by quick, Sam, but 10-lap shootout, and everybody's going to be aggressive here. Cautions could be breed cautions. This is going to get really entertaining as it was looking back at that wreck, a little bit of contact there between Travis and that of Nick Holland.
I mean, talking about quick, well, we got something that's coming up quick as well. In just a couple of days, it is going to be our charity event, our Daytona 500 for Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. It's our second annual charity race that we've ever put on here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation, Research Foundation. Last year, it was a 6-hour endurance race. This year, a full 500 miles at Daytona. This Saturday, we've been promoting it for about a month. We're proud to say that it is almost completely full of drivers. Last I was told, we've got 2 spots still open. We're also looking for reserve drivers to get registered. Go head over to our community Discord, go to the donation link, donate $5, sign up right now, get yourself set up, ready to go, because this race is something you don't want to miss. And Trevor, I'm excited for it because both you and I are going to be up in the booth for it.
Yeah, we're going to be up in the booth, 500 miles, 200 laps, Daytona, full length. I mean, I can't wait, and for such a great cause as well. It's going to be such a great event. Can't wait to see everybody there Saturday, but we're back under green, and great start there from Christopher Wade as he gets a good jump on the 24, Cameron Hart.
10 laps to go. If you're gonna make a pass for the lead, you better make it now, as it's gonna be Christopher Wade trying to hold steady. He's gonna be running the middle lane, drifting up, goes back to the bottom. That's just his comfort zone. Cameron Sarton gonna be going to the outside. Everyone else behind. Take a lane, take what you can find, and hope that that is going forward. Zach Hall gonna be dropping down low. It's Logan Keys now up to 3rd place, this 43. If he can find a little bit more speed, he should be fine. Yellow flag comes out as driver stuck on the outside of the exit of turn 2. It's Austin Call as well. It's gonna be that of Cole Sicchetti having their issues.
Re-rack him, stack him back up again, try it again, but Sam, I just looked up on our leaderboard. Chris Stitz, he's up to 4th. Where did he come from in that 17 machine? He just drove right past Ross Tatum, Chris Essery right there before the caution, and the 17 of Stitz has a chance. The 43 of Logan Keys. I mean, these two guys come out of, or especially Stitz, come out of nowhere. Keys has been the fastest truck, I think, all night long. They're going to have a shot here with a couple laps to go once we get going green again.
Yeah, they're going to have plenty of shots. I mean, we also have green-white checkered attempts if needed. We got 3, but, I mean, Chris Ditz, he's done a fabulous job moving his way forward from this race. I mean, you look at where he started all the way back in 11th place. He's been slowly marching his way forward. There's been drivers being knocked out of being up front, with that of Cole Sicchetti, as well as a couple of other drivers. It just hasn't been their race for some of consistency to make it to the end, as Cole Sicchetti has called it quits. He is done for the night after just too many wrecks and incidences. That truck does not want to work as well as it did before. But man, it is wild looking at everyone from 3rd on back now on where they're at, because it looked like such a dominant force of Ken Campbell, Zach Hall, Cameron Sark, Christopher Wade. Now we're starting to see a little bit more mixture besides our top 2.
Yeah, you got Logan Keys up there, Chris Stitz, Essery still hanging on there in the 8th position. Nick Hollins up there in 9th. Will Bustler up to 10th. Sam Siegel, I mean, he had a great qualifying run in heat race, started in 9th. He's just outside the top 10. So, I mean, anything can happen here with the green flag coming with about 5 laps to go. I mean, anything could happen. We still got possibly 3 attempts at a green-white checkered.
Plenty of racing has happened tonight, but we're down to just 5 to go for the F-Bar Graphics on dirt at Eldora. That's going to be that of Christopher Wade, down it down low, trying to find a little bit of extra speed for himself, with the grip found for that of the 24. Cameron Sark going to be diving it down low. He's going to be right at the quarter panel, heading into turn number 3, diving it down to where you can find some grip is the 24, but it's in an uncomfortable zone. He hasn't been here, but gets back to the throttle. That of Christopher Wade holds steady for now.
4 laps to go, and Sarton, and the caution's out.
It's Philip Chavez in the 101 on the front stretch, going to be bringing out this one. 4 to go. And at the timing of this yellow, Trevor, it's time for some overtime racing on the dirt.
Overtime racing. Chris Stitz got his way up to third. Logan Keys lost a spot, but if I'm Christopher Wade, I'm a little bit nervous. Cameron Sarton, great drive off of turn number 2, got to the inside of the 53 machine and held it there for the through 3 and 4 and into 1 and 2. And that's something right now Christopher Wade's got to have to worry about here on this restart.
He's a little bit worried about it, but he did cross the line. Even though that of Cameron Sarton made the move on the backstretch, he wasn't able to hold that position coming across the line. Christopher Wade looked a lot more dominant on it as a factor on the outside. It just seems like Cameron Sarton, if he cannot make the pass on the outside lane, this is going to be a troublesome spot for the 24 as drivers are getting themselves ready to get rolling. Overtime, here are the rules. They're pretty simple. We've talked about them during our heat races. Both of them went to overtime, but it's going to be a green-white checkered. I mean, we got 2 laps to finish out this race. The first lap, if a yellow flag happens under that first lap, we will then go into attempt number 2. Same scenario happens in that attempt number 2. We'll go into attempt number 3 where there's slightly different rules there. But if we get the white flag on this first attempt, this race is official. It is all about who crosses the line first. No yellow flag will end the race if the white flag is flown. So the drivers are hoping that is what we get at the end of this race, as they've already ran 90 laps. About to go in overtime for lap number 91. The FR graphics on dirt here at Eldora. Up front, we've got the 2 drivers that have won both of their heats. Cameron Sarton won heat number 1. Christopher Wade won heat number 2. Other drivers are wanting to steal the thunder from them, but they've been the top 2 to watch out for all night long. And it's time for our first attempt at overtime. We're green once again here at Eldora.
It's a good restart there by the 24 of Sarton. He's going to take that outside line, see if he can get the run that he needs here out of turn number 2, but Christopher Wade's there. He's going to stack him up. Zach Hall trying to find a way. Sarton's all out of shape. Chris Stitz to the inside of the 21 of Ross Tatum for 4th place, but the 24 trying to get a run back on the 53 as we come to the white flag.
White flag's in the air. Christopher Wade gonna be getting our freaky fast white flag. We only needed 1 attempt, that's it. But here comes Cameron Sarton. A great run for the 24 on the outside, but can he close in the gap for a lead? Diving it down low is gonna be both of our leaders, but it's Sarton who goes a little bit further down. He's gonna have a great launch out of the corner. Wade up to the wall, side by side, and it goes to Christopher Wade in the 53.
What a finish. Sarton not quite able to get the slide job to work for him. Comes up just short after a really dominant performance for himself. Zach Hall is going to come home 3rd. Ross Tatum with a great recovery after his early incident brings it home in 4th. And Chris Stitz with a really good run there at the end brings it home 5th position. But Sam, what a race here tonight and what a finish.
Let the fireworks go off. What a finish that was. Christopher Wade put it all on the line, ran the higher lane, so he knew he was going to get the better launch out of the corner, and he finds himself crossing the line first. Zach Hall is going to be coming away with 3rd. That of Ross Tatum 4th. 5th's going to go to Chris Stitz. Ken Campbell 6th. 7th goes to Logan Keys, and what a run that was for all of those drivers here tonight. And as the fireworks go off, we will be right back because we're going to have our post-race show talking to our top 2 and a special guest spotlight driver. We'll see you in just a few moments. Big shout out to Game to Give, as that is the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation's charity giveaway that we're kind of partnering up in a small fashion for our charity race this Saturday, that of the 11th of February at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Going to be having some that is 6, excuse me, where drivers are set for 500 miles of Daytona. Can't wait for it, but man, what a race here tonight. Dirt track racing had to use overtime attempts for Heat 1, 2, and the featured event. It only needed one attempt at all 3 of those races, but they got it all done. The driver that got to win at least 2 of the 3 was this guy, Christopher Wade, with us. Chris, congratulations on this win. Man, how does it feel winning the Heat and now winning the featured event?
Oh man, it feels pretty amazing. I had a lot of confidence coming in here. You came in the chat and asking everyone. I was pretty confident at least the top 3, but at the end maybe first, because I knew the track was going to get worn and I was going to be able to change the lines and go to the bottom. I was practicing earlier and seeing that the bottom it could be about just as fast as the top once it got really rubbered up. So I'm a dirt guy. I done it in real life, and when I first got into the sim, that's pretty much what I done. And I have 2 championships with the biggest league on here with over 1,000 members. Monsters Dirt have 2 championships, yeah, and that was with Dirt Street Stocks. Those is pretty much my favorites, but I'm a fan of the late models, but I'm not too good at those. And done ECRS. I won about 4 of those in a row because they mainly just NASCAR oval guys, and I was feeling pretty confident in that. And but yeah, I was real confident, and just I kind of made the transition to oval because I played NASCAR games, so. But I'm kind of being a fan of that. At the moment, I didn't really run last season on dirt, so I was a little rusty.
Well, Chris, I mean, you look great out there tonight. You're locked into the playoffs. 5 races in. That's got to feel good. And get an off week next week, but then to Kansas and the rest of the regular season. I mean, how are you feeling going through the rest of the regular season before we get to the playoffs?
I'm feeling pretty confident. I've had pretty good strong runs this season, except for last week when my screen froze up going into that turn. It was terrible. I was probably a winning truck. We was all right there together. I was feeling confident then. I was getting my heart racing and all that stuff. But yeah, we've been finishing really well, I think, this season. So I'm feeling pretty confident with the playoffs. But a lot of competitive people in this league, and it's awesome running it. I'm enjoying it.
Chris, you told us about your history. You proved it on track, how that history certainly helped you get to victory lane. Congratulations on that. If you have anyone else to shout out, the floor is now yours.
Thank you guys. Mom and Dad foremost, and all the guys that help with the league sponsors, Travis, all those guys. They do amazing jobs. AC2 Skins, he's the man. All my teammates, Ross, Will, and Jonathan, even though Jonathan didn't show up. He said he owns the track, but I don't know why he didn't come. And you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast. And I want to give a shout out to my girlfriend, Chelsea. And my good old awesome friend, teammate, or former teammate, but I'll always consider him a teammate. Ken Campbell, his family, his wife, Casey, his time, and his kids, and just such an awesome dude.
Well, that is going to be the 53 of Christopher Wade. Congratulations on this win, and good luck heading into the rest of the season.
Thank you, guys.
Let's go from victory lane. We had a second place. Again, we go from one confident dirt driver to someone else that looked confident out there. Winner of Heat 1, coming away second for the featured event. Cameron starting with us. Cameron, congratulations on second place. But man, how are you feeling after tonight's performance?
Well, I finally put a race together for once all the way through, so happy there. No mistakes on my part and no unluckiness. So did not think I would finish where I did, being honest, but gained a ton of confidence in the heat race, kind of pulling away there from guys that are, I know Chris Essera is super fast on dirt, so gained a lot of confidence there and kept that into the main. And then right when the high side started to go away, if you missed it barely and that middle bottom started working, I had no idea what I was doing, and Wade did. So he got around me that one time, kind of let him in. I was like, there's still 30 something to go, and well, I probably would have let him in so nicely if I knew there was going to be a caution every 5-6 laps so I could control the restart. But I'll take it. Congrats to him. Guy's a freak on dirt. So to finish second to him, it feels like a win in my book almost.
I mean, Cameron, you and I talked last week about a little bit about this race coming into it and how you had learned a little bit through officials and kind of what your confidence level was coming into this. But I mean, you look good up front all night long. And like you said, you let him in. But I mean, was there anything you could have done that last couple of restarts? We saw you had the run on the outside and tried to dive it in there. Did you think about being a little bit more aggressive on those dive bombs and maybe getting up into him, or are you just trying to keep it clean and preserve the finish that you had?
Definitely keep it clean for sure, just because of how the first few races had gone. If I had a win or something, maybe a little different, or if it wasn't Wade, but he's always raced me super clean. And same myself to him. So you have the mutual level of respect there. And I in a way, I wanted to learn from him on the bottom and kind of the middle, how he was working it. And I tried several different things, with the throttle and kind of how I was making the steering wheel different ways. And I just couldn't do it like him. And I kind of got the top work in there if you hit it right at the end. And every time I felt like I got a good restart those last couple times, and he did a really good job sliding up out of 2. And I mean, I'm not just going to clean him out and try in the back of him. So I definitely could have spun him pretty easily, but that's not, my forte. So I thought about it kind of going into 3 there. Just give him a nice shot on the side. But, I'm surprised I got that close on the bottom. So I didn't think I'd have it. Didn't get a great run off 2, got a little loose, but made it interesting at least. So definitely happy. So no complaints on my side.
Certainly did make it very interesting there. I know we get next week off here, Cameron, but the next couple of racetracks look to be strong. Looking at the strengths that we've seen you in previous seasons, going to Kansas, Richmond, Watkins Glen, but taking on that confidence that you had here tonight after that heat race, how does that feel like you can take that momentum into these next 3 races?
Well, knowing those are our next 3 now, I haven't really looked at the schedule. In my book, I kind of are looking at that as 3 wins, especially at Richmond for sure. That track just speaks to me on this game, whatever car, truck it is. I don't know why, it just does. And then Watkins Glen is kind of my best road course probably. So definitely those 2. Kansas, I was good in the trucks when we were in season 2. Led most of it until got a pit road speeding penalty. So I think I got a good shot at Kansas. There's a lot of fast guys here, though, so I feel like that one's kind of a toss-up. But definitely have Richmond, Watkins Glen circled, and now got finally a playoff point. Good finish points-wise, so can be a little more aggressive and hopefully come out with that with at least 1 win. So hopefully can get to those. Kind of how I'm picturing it with how the season's gone.
Well, a very strong performance here tonight, Cameron. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, shout out to mom, dad, grandparents watching at home. Good old Disney and Mickey Mouse, and also the Dallas Mavs. Welcome Kyrie to Dallas. Wade, good performance there. So congrats to him. So I wish he didn't show up. Then I would have won. But also Impact Sim Designs for the truck paint scheme, FR Graphics for the sponsor of the race, and then you guys up in the booth. I'm sure it was fun calling a little dirt race and a lot of battles back there, which thankfully I didn't get to take place in for the entire race. It's because would have been a different interview for sure, and I would have been sweating a lot more. But stress-free for the most part, and good finish, and we'll go on to next week.
We can't wait for it. Again, that is second place finisher Cameron starting in the 24. Congratulations on that finish, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at Kansas.
Yeah, thanks, boys.
As we head from second place to our spotlight driver, who's going to be 7th place finisher, Logan Keys. Wanted to get our thoughts from Logan. Logan was certainly flying through the field at times, but caught up in some late incidences that pushed the 43 back. Logan, you're our spotlight driver of the night. Congratulations on a 7th place finish. But man, we saw that you were performing so well, so fast in the outside lane, but then fell backwards. How are you feeling after your performance here tonight?
Thanks, guys. I'm feeling pretty good. I enjoyed it, that's for sure. Starting sixth was definitely nice, and I forget who it was. I was certainly faster than him on the top, and I tried to throw a slide job on him, and he kind of ran through me, pushed me back to like I think it was 20th or 22nd, and then it was just try and try and pass everybody again and get back up through the field. But it was a fun race. I enjoyed it.
I mean, Logan, you're a rookie coming in this season. You've had speed, haven't quite had the finishes that you probably felt like you've needed or wanted to have. But looking ahead of this in the schedule, I mean, you've got Kansas, Richmond, Watkins Glen all coming up. I mean, how are you feeling going forward with the rest of the season and it being your rookie season as well?
I'm feeling really good looking at the rest of the season. I'm really looking forward to Watkins Glen. I like to run a lot of endurance races and stuff like that. So hopefully I can put a good run together at one of the two road courses. But I'm liking the schedule, and hopefully we can maybe grab a top three here and sometime soon.
Well, Logan, we hope for a great performance for you as well. Congratulations on also being the biggest, the highest runner of the rookie class here tonight. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Thanks, guys. I wanna thank you all for broadcasting these races. I want to thank my sponsors, BlairRaces.com. Go check them out on Facebook at Blair Patterson Racing. I definitely want to give a huge shout out to McConey Setup Shop for sponsoring me as well. And just thanks again to you guys for everything that you do.
That is going to be the 43 machine of Logan Keys. Maybe not the finishing position he wanted, but the truck looks strong and certainly a driver to watch out for throughout the rest of the season. Congratulations, Logan, and good luck in 2 weeks when we head to Kansas.
Thanks, guys.
As we go from our driver interviews, we take a look at the unofficial results here tonight. As a lot of shakeups, drivers going up and down throughout the field. Only that of a couple of drivers maybe able to stay where they qualified, but a lot of movement of drivers. We saw some massive wrecks, but up front, it's going to be that of Christopher Wade, who drivers were scared of. If the dirt ringers were able to come out and perform the way that they could, Christopher Wade was one of them, and he certainly performed like a driver that knows how to work it at the dirt. The 53 going to get the win here tonight. Cameron Sarr did his best, led majority of the race, but was not able to clutch it at the end when the track was at its worst state. Zach Hall going to come away with third. This is one of his best finishes at his first dirt race for himself in a league run. And also going to have Ross Tatum, another top 5 finish for the 21. He is finished in the top 5 every race this season, continues on that streak. 5th place is going to be Chris Stitz, Ken Campbell 6th, Logan Keys, Spotlight Driver in 7th, Will Bustler 8th, 9th goes to Andrew Medlin, and finishing out our top 10 is going to be that of Chris Essery.
And great run from everybody in the top 10. Logan Keys, like you said, biggest or the highest finishing of the rookies. Medlin, we saw get caught up in a wreck, recovers to a top 10. Essery had speed all night long, just wasn't able to keep it up at the front, got shuffled back there on those late restarts, but a good finish for him nonetheless. Kyle Carpenter up there, Austin Call up 15 spots from where he started tonight after getting caught up in a couple of incidents as well, so great recovery from the 18. But I mean, further on down the field, you had Cole Sacchetti, who was up front, got caught up in a wreck, a couple of wrecks all the way down there in 20th. John Dart, last week's winner, showed speed early on. He gets unfortunately caught up in a wreck down there in 19th. And then Brian Wilson had speed in his heat race, but caught up in a wreck early on. Doug Pierce, Ryan Lynch, both caught up in that first wreck on lap 2. Didn't really get to see what they were going to be able to do tonight, but unfortunate finishes for those guys. But Sam, overall, I mean, that race, fairly quick. and could have been more cautions than what we had, and a great finish there at the end between that of Christopher Wade, Cameron Sarton. We get a week off to collect our thoughts before we get back to Kansas next week or the week after that. And boy, I tell you what, after these first 5 races, I think we're going to need that week off to regroup and get our thoughts together before we get to Kansas.
We certainly are. 4 different winners this season. Zach Hall, the only driver with multiple wins this season, but certainly seeing a lot of new faces, still waiting for past champions to get to victory lane. I mean, still looking for whenever we're going to see that of Ross Tatum or that of Cameron Sarton finally get into victory lane, because we haven't seen that yet. But we know these next couple of races could be the changing swing for themselves. But for us up at the booth, we got one more race on our league aspect of things to cover tomorrow night. And we have 2 more races, that of Wicked next week. Going to be that of tomorrow. Excuse me, I'm so out of shape after getting yesterday off from the ISRC Truck Series. We've got Wicked tomorrow for Wednesday. Going to be seeing those next-gen drivers tackling Bristol. Then going to be on Thursday, Stars and Stripes are running the ARCA cars. Certainly have been putting on some of the best finishes, as they've been inside of our top 5 finishes of January that came out this morning. Go check out that video. It's a good one to watch. But that's our league races. But then we have our special event Saturday. It is going to be our charity event. Want to check that out? It's our Daytona 500 for that of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Check it out. It's going to be a good one, and we cannot wait. Next week should be a blast as we get to take a break for ourselves. But here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, again, we got the ISRC Truck Series on Monday, Wednesday's Wicked, Thursday's Stars and Stripes, and as well, Saturday League coming around. It's the World Series of Sim Racing. Something to check out, as those drivers have been ramping up over the offseason. They're excited to see who can try to challenge Vincent Sora. But for us here tonight, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Trevor Earhart, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night, Wicked, Bristol. We'll see you at Short Track Racing.